Okay, I think it's totally going. I don't. Yeah.
I was in the middle of doing stuff. I was like, oh, what did I do?
Yeah, I do. Hold on one second.
Use the projector.
Yeah. Too dark. Not good. And it'll stick there kind of like that. Probably get the back of Gretchen's head the whole time. When we were trying it out, we didn't know it was filming, and when we watched it back, our faces were like right here. It was very horrifying.
It's horrifying. No, we looked like some kind of like field experiment or like some kind of National Geographic thing. We're all in.
It was kind of funny, but we deleted it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys, thank you so much for being here today. Some of you I've seen in other sessions, so thank you for coming back and giving us feedback. Today, Matt Moriali is going to be presenting to you guys. So as usual, just participate and please give us feedback on that form that I've given you. You'll have a little time at the end to fill that out more completely. Okay? Matt, it's all yours.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Matt Moriali. My pronouns are he, him, and his. You can refer to me however you are most comfortable as far as title. So you're more than welcome to call me by my first name. I'm totally comfortable with that. Some of you might not be though, and so you can call me Mr. Moriali, Professor Moriali. The only thing is you can't call me Dr. Moriali, because even though my credential as a Juris Doctor, which is the law degree, technically has the term doctor in it, it's just not customary in the field of law to be referred to as doctor. My theory behind that is because the ethical rules for lawyers, you can't ever misrepresent yourself as an expert in something you're not. And so I think they don't want people saying, oh, well, my lawyer's also a doctor, so they can diagnose my, heart issue or be an expert witness on chemistry or something. So that's fine. So I'm free, I'm open to for you to refer to me as however you would like to. I've been teaching at SOU, this is my third academic year, but I've been teaching off and on for about 10 years total. So is anyone from RCC or? Okay. Yeah. I started over at RCC in 2007 doing academic advising. Is anyone involved in student life or clubs? Okay, yeah, so actually, I was the advisor for student government over there. So I was in charge of approving clubs and taking students on field trips for diversity and leadership conferences. But in between that, I attended law school and did some work in the state legislature and even did a little bit of law practice for about a year. So in the area of family law, which you'll see is going to be integrated into our discussion today. So I'm here on behalf of Dr. Jones, who unfortunately is out for the week. But luckily, Dr. Jones and I kind of followed the same syllabus, a lot of the same activities and exercises, so it worked out perfectly. But it looks like you have an annotated references assignment coming up. How many of you have done one in its totality before? Okay, good. So you'll do great on this. You've all been annotating sources throughout the year, right? But we've been doing it as a group. Right? All of our in-class readings on different articles and cases, you've annotated in exactly the same format that you're going to be doing for this list, right? Except the difference is you're going to be doing 8 of them all in one document, and you get to pick the sources this time. They're not group readings, and they're not readings that I'm assigning to you. So that's where you get the flexibility. So you can be on any topic you want. But this is in preparation for your FUSE, which you won't do until next term. But right now, we're going to start the threshold phase of researching. So, to get started, think of at least one topic that interests you right now, but by no means don't feel committed to that topic at this point. It'll certainly evolve. You're going to be doing activities like this next term. So if you end up getting through this whole annotated references process, and you're like, I hate this topic, right? I never want to do this. That's great. At least you know what you don't want to do. And you can start next term fresh and ready to look at a new area. If you're totally committed to a topic, you've just been waiting for this moment your whole college career to explore an issue that's really important and that you're really passionate about, that's great. But recognize you'll probably modify it. The whole process is evolutionary, but we need to start somewhere. So I'm not going to get too much into the details of the assignment. This will be posted for you on Moodle. It's all, again, a format and a style that you've been working with throughout the year. And I know next week you'll be meeting with Dale, our good friend the librarian, to refresh your memory on database usage and citation. So go ahead and go through this over the weekend. Familiarize yourself with it. But this is going to be a work in progress. So you have a whole month to complete it. But in the meantime, you're going to be doing some activities. So I know Dr. Jones next week wants you to have 2 sources picked out, read and annotated for an activity. And I'm going to guide you through the elements of that activity so you're prepared for that. So any questions so far? Very good. So who can refresh our memory on what is an argument? Right? Maybe you had one already today, right? Maybe. I'm gonna block this though. What's an argument?
We can see it.
Oh. So it's definitely not just anger, right? Yeah.
And it's reason.
Reason, yes, it should be. Yes.
Like your point of view or everything?
Yes, certainly. That's the component of the argument. Actually, what you two have just said combined is an argument. It's your opinion or position combined with some reason. So if you think it's about anger or conflict, you're on the right track, right? That's how we use it in our everyday lives. We're probably most familiar and try to avoid it, with negative arguments, right? Where it's heated, emotional, passionate, there's a lot of anger, but a true logical argument is very removed from that. It's very detached, it's cool, it's calm, it's collected, so you can articulate reasoning behind some position you might have. And we're going to review just the basic elements. We won't go into it too much, because I know you're all very familiar with this. I know Dr. Jones started you off with this very early. Can everyone see this okay, or is it too faded? Okay. How many of you have some issues? Me too. Dealing with them all the time, right? Good. So now you know where to start. The threshold beginning, right? The first thing you need to do whenever beginning an argument is identifying the issue, right? And I borrowed this from law, and that's what the first thing you're going to do when you annotate. When you read an article, figure out what is the purpose of this article, right? And the issue can be described as either the problem or the question that the author's trying to address. Now, arguments are a response to the issue, right? So you have to start somewhere, and usually it starts with some question you've had. Like maybe you've read something, like that sounds pretty interesting, but it doesn't really fully answer something, or it sparks a new question, and you're going to explore that further, and then take a position on it. Right? You're either going to provide some kind of answer to that question, or some kind of solution or resolution to that problem that's been posed. So the argument, right, the response to the issue, needs both a premise and a conclusion. And those are just fancy words for saying some evidence and main point, right? The reasoning and your opinion, your position. Without both of those, you don't have an argument. If you're just stating your opinion, it's like, that's great, that's cool, that's nice, that's interesting. But, okay, back it up, right? You're just throwing out claims, you're throwing out assertions. And that's interesting, but if you really want to convince or persuade someone, you got to provide some reasoning behind that. So this is very, formulaic, but it's basic, right? One conclusion and only one. So if you start going off into multiple claims or opinions, you're starting new arguments. But you have to have one and only one conclusion, and you need at least one premise, but you're probably going to have multiple, right? Because if an interior designer is posed with the question of what's the best color to paint this new office complex we're contracted to design, like, okay, well, that doesn't sound like a big deal to us. We're like, oh, what's your favorite color? But a lot of time and money is going to go into that. Right? You want to make those clients happy. If you're the interior designer who just got this big project to design, the new Apple office in LA, you don't want to disappoint your boss. You don't want to disappoint the clients. So you're going to have to put some thought into this. Like, okay, well, the best color is going to be blue, right? It's going to be this particular shade of blue, and that's going to be your conclusion, right? It's the short answer to that issue, the short answer to that question. But you're going to have to give some reasoning behind it. We're like, okay, convince us, we're going to spend a ton of money on this, we don't want to disappoint the client. Well, blue has this calming effect, right? There's all these studies that the interior designer just reviewed and said, hey, blue makes you smarter, makes you calmer, makes you more efficient. And this particular shade of blue is actually cheaper, right? So it'll be cost effective, it's going to make this great, productive, inspiring, wonderful work environment for all the Apple employees, so that's where we're going. So, in a short way to summarize that, the interior designer is gonna have to say, okay, the best color is blue, and this is why, right? It's gonna make everyone smart. It's probably gonna have to go into more detail than that, right? Might not be too convincing at the outset. So these are some articles that we've looked at as a class, and these are some good annotations from students. This was the Lewandowski article on media bias, and this is how you're gonna compose your annotations. So here, this is gonna be a clear indicator as to the issue. If you see an article title posed as a question, be on alert for the answer. That's most likely gonna be the issue. And sometimes it can be really difficult to figure out what the main point of an article is, right? Sometimes the authors might not be so explicit. They might, state it in a roundabout way. So it's really important to figure out what the question is or what the problem is presented in the article so that you can be on alert for that specific response. And the Lewandowski article is very explicit, right? At the outset, why do partisan media polarize viewers? Clearly, it's because partisan media makes ideologically extreme consumers even more extreme. And the small population contributes to political gridlock. Some people read this and they think the issue is the media bias. And that's not it at all. It's really important to get the precise issue down at the outset. Because if you just think that the article is about whether the media is biased or not, you kind of miss the whole point of it, right? I think somewhere in here the author is going to assume that they think the media is biased if they're asking why does it polarize viewers? Why is this kind of partisan bias media? So be on alert to that. Figure out what the specific issue is, because if you miss that, you're probably going to miss the main point, and that's going to taint your evidence and your own composition later on. Because if you're relying on the wrong point of view, and you're using that and relying on that in your own research, it's going to be very difficult to kind of explain how you got it wrong. This article on domestic abuse in the family court system